look at dividing fractions with our equation. So if we had our problem 3/4 divided by 1/2, I could draw a model, but there's also a way to help you remember how to divide. And all you want to remember is 3 words, and those are keep, change, and flip. So the first step is to keep. So that's talking about my first fraction. So I'm going to keep my first fraction. So I'm going to keep 3/4. The second step is change. So I'm going to change my division sign. And it's always going to change to multiplication. So I'm going to change my division to multiplication. And our last step is to flip. So this last fraction is going to flip. So I'm going to put my numerator as my denominator and my denominator as my numerator. So I'm going to flip them around. So instead of 1/2, it's going to be 2/1. This right here is the opposite of 1/2. If you look at them, 1/2 and 2/1, those are the opposite numbers. If you multiplied those, you would get 2/2, which equals 1. This is because 2/1 is the opposite or the reciprocal of 1/2. And if you multiply by a reciprocal, it's the same thing as dividing by the original fraction. So instead of dividing, we're always going to multiply that reciprocal or the opposite fraction. So we know anytime we divide, we're going to follow keep, change, flip. So we have our problem set up now, and now we're just going to multiply our fractions. We're going to multiply our numerator times our numerator and our denominator times our denominator. So we are going to multiply 3 times 2, which is 6, and 4 times 1, which is 4. So we get improper fraction, 6/4. So we're going to turn that into a mixed number. So I'm going to get 1 2/4, which I can simplify to 1 1/2. So I know 3/4 divided by 1/2 equals 1 1/2. We're going to practice with one more problem so that way you can get used to the idea of keep, change, flip. So we're going to try with a whole number. So that way you can see what you do with a whole number. So if I have 5 divided by 2/3. So first, we're going to put our 5, just like with multiplying. Whenever you see a whole number in division, you're going to put that number over 1. So I'm going to change it to 5/1 divided by 2/3. Now I'm going to use my steps over here again. So I'm going to keep my first fraction, so 5/1. I'm going to change my division symbol to multiplication, and I'm going to flip my last fraction. So instead of 2/3, I'm going to use 3/2 because this is the reciprocal or the opposite of my original. And then I'm going to multiply straight across my numerator times my numerator and my denominator times my denominator. So 5 times 3 is 15, and 1 times 2 is 2. So 15 divided by 2, I'm going to end up with 7 1/2. So 5 divided by 2/3 equals 7 1/2. And that's dividing by fractions. You're always going to want to follow keep, change, flip.